So, I recently made a video talking about what I think would have happened if Batman was in the Marvel universe. And while looking and scrolling through the comments, I saw a little debate going on talking about whether Iron Man and Batman would be friends, specifically due to the fact that they kind of would be rolling around in similar circles. So I was really just thinking about this idea, and after a couple of days, I kind of finally came up with where my mind would be at. And that is, without a doubt, unfathomably, Batman and Iron Man would absolutely hate each other. I mean, they would despise each other as people and as like entire characters. I saw people talking about, oh yeah, they would most definitely be close friends, or they would just most definitely have very close ties with their families. But when you think about it, their families represent two very differing things. Their families and their entire history is two very separate things. If we had these two characters in the same world or just interacting, period, their entire history and their entire backstories might be similar in some cases, but the way that their characters grew up and the way that their characters act are just so drastically different. When it comes to someone like Iron Man, he is a playboy billionaire philanthropist. That is exactly who he is. That is his character. He is Tony Stark, the guy who gets almost any girl that he can possibly even think about grabbing. He can do whatever he feels like. He has this insane intellect, being able to do all of these extremely decent things and all of these extremely like just wild things with his own technology. He's being able to create all of these different variations of this Iron Man suit and shows exactly what he could possibly be doing. He is the leader of Stark Industries, and like he's like the person and the figurehead of that entire company. He knows exactly what he is doing, but he is that playboy. He is the person that drinks. He is the person that causes chaos. He is the person that tends to becoming a villain more likely or not, whether it's like Superior Iron Man or any other variation of Iron Man that has ended up becoming evil or has become a problem in one way or another. He is almost always categorized as a person that has the tendency to do wrongdoing. He is the person that is very categorized as a person that will most likely and most very easily be able to do something absolutely horrible. While Batman, on the other hand, while when he is acting as Bruce Wayne, he portrays that billionaire playboy philanthropist type of persona. That's not who he is. That's just the type of person that he has to envelop, that type of person that he has to become to throw people off of the scent of him being Batman. He just does that as a cover. He doesn't do this on a normal occasion. Yes, he has women like swooning over him left and right, but that's not about him just trying to go ahead and grab whatever woman that he can. That is just him and his personality wise. He is quite literally just able to do almost whatever he pleases, but he is just quite literally the opposite of Tony. He is cold, calculating. He is absolutely an amazing detective. He has his specific personality, but being this playboy, being this like just person that goes out is not him. That's just who he has to pretend to be. When people ask him whether he's Batman or whether he's Batman or Bruce, he is Batman. Bruce is just the persona that he has to take on. He isn't Bruce on any normal occasion. He's literally held the lasso of truth and been asked who he is, and he doesn't even consider himself as Bruce Wayne. He considers himself as the Batman. And that is one of the main reasons I don't think these characters will get along in almost any specific way. Their personalities are just way too differing. Their characters and entire personas are almost on the complete opposite sides of the spectrum, which would easily just stimulate the entirety of the fact of them just not being able to find any common ground, besides the fact that they both are the owners of these massive giant corporations and have the world's most ungodly amount of money. And even if we talk about something like those corporations, the entire foundations of Stark Industries and Wayne Tech are two different, very different things. Stark Industries, specifically with somebody like Howard Stark and like Tony Stark's father, he was quite literally somebody that was made and bred for a time of war, created weapons, created full on things for war. He was quite literally the best definition of a war profiteer, a warmonger. He was somebody that had his best times during war, created things made specifically for war. Hence what Tony was doing very, very early on before he ever became Iron Man. The thing that entirely led up to his story. That war being in his blood, that war being the main part of him. While the Waynes are on the completely opposite side. They don't do war. Thomas Wayne was a doctor. He doesn't destroy people, he saves them. The Waynes were absolutely loved by Gotham. They were to the point that Bruce was considered like the crown prince of Gotham. He was the most, like, probably like obviously the richest person there, but the Waynes were easily some of the most loved people and beloved rich people in Gotham, which is a very unlikely thing to be. Being rich and absolutely adored is not often. It is literally to the point where even though that they had all of this money, they still ended up going into a regular movie theater. They still ended up going and doing normal things as a family. They weren't just a complete, like, unloving, full-on things to the point that Tony even thought that his father didn't even love him. Bruce had that full-on affection from his parents. Bruce had that shower and full truth and full on showing of love and admiration from the two people that were raising him. Something that Tony wasn't actually ever going to be able to get. This really just shows you how differing those characters are from their entire heritage and just everything that they possibly could even think about. And one of the main reasons that I also think that they just wouldn't ever get along would be something that happens in Marvel Comics and just Marvel as in general. Civil War. That entire event would really just have those two specifically be on two different sides. Tony has actively revealed that he is Iron Man. The entire world knows that Tony Stark is Iron Man, but nobody knows that Bruce Wayne is the Batman. Then that's how he likes to keep it. He would never want to actively go show himself to the government and have the government completely monitor and take everything that he does on a very close watch. He wouldn't like that, and he would most definitely be on Captain America's side. We have actively had situations where the Justice League were either thought of committing crimes or in very bad situations where Wonder Woman, The Flash, Superman, and the entirety of the rest of the Justice League were willing to turn themselves into the government until they figured out and found out exactly what was going on. But Batman was absolutely not having it, to the point of him saying that he is just a part-timer. This is an entire situation where Batman, and specifically him as a character, doesn't like having this extreme amount of oversight. So having somebody like the entirety of the US government on your ass and just basically controlling everything that you do would be the last thing that he would want. Would be so far from what he would even desire that it would just really destroy any relationship that they could have possibly had beforehand. It would lead to an amazing fight between those two characters, but it would make their entire relationship unsolvable, unrecognizable afterwards. I do think there could be a very good possibility, while yes, they could be friends from an early age and a possibility, mainly due to the fact of, yes, Bruce specifically having his parents die and Tony still being somebody that is in his age range to an extent. So they probably would just have some interactions extremely from a very early age and from when they were extremely young. I just still see a very good possibility that, one, after Bruce's parents' death, Bruce wouldn't really be wanting to talk to anybody, so there would be no real big relationship on that end again. And he would still go off and do whatever he feels like doing, and he would be gone for 10 years or whatever. So there would be no relationship between him or anybody else along those lines at all in the first place. So in a very big sense, in a very big situation, I honestly just see their relationship really never even getting a chance to develop because of the fact that Bruce would just never want to be interacting with a lot of different people. He would most likely just stay to himself, especially once he came back as Batman. He would just be this billionaire that disappeared and came back and had been trying to actively set a good example, especially due to the fact of once and by the time that Bruce would come back, he would automatically still see that the Wayne's entire family, that he could still do something good with that name, while the Starks are still doing the same things that they would have done until Tony would become Iron Man. That entire situation for probably the first few years of Batman being Batman and Tony still just being Tony, not even having Iron Man already existing, would be a very big situation where he is just watching another person that he has almost the exact same amount of money as he does use it for the absolute wrong reasons, while Bruce is most likely going to be using it for orphanages, using it to help people, actually using his money for good causes, which Tony probably would rarely ever do, especially like in some very big circumstances. It would just be a very big differing of characters, the way that they just would not be able to find any real common ground, as I've already stated, would just be the biggest reason for a non-existing relationship between these two characters. But please go down in the comments and tell me what you guys think between these two characters. Tell me if you guys think that they even would have a possibility to have any actual decently good relationship. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channels, but I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.